Well, we are at the cusp of yet another week. We made it. Congrats to us. First and foremost, thank you to everybody for all of the kind notes and texts and everything about my daughter's special video last night. They were tickled pink all day to have been a part of quote unquote mama's work. I hope they brought you a little bit of laughter. They are funny, silly girls. And a little bit of sunshine. They've made this tough time a lot easier for us, I know, and I wanted to share that with you guys as well. On the note of the two of them, I actually had an experience with them this morning that I thought was really relevant to talk about. As we've talked about before, real estate data coming out over the weekends is pretty slight. So I just figured that this was a really important lesson that I kind of learned from something that happened to us this morning, and one that I wanted to share with you guys as we start into another week. So on Sunday mornings, early Sunday mornings when we can, we try to safely get out of the city and get out into nature a little bit. In the beginning of this, we were trying to go to a couple of the forest preserves, but those soon got very crowded. We do have the luxury, though, of having a special little secret haven that we can go to. There is a horse farm that is actually a breeding farm where one of our horses is at in Elgin. It is a very quiet, desolate place that realistically, outside of the 3 or 4 people that work there, nobody's really there. So on Sunday mornings early, we try and sneak out there, give a little love to our horses out there, and then we just take our dogs and we kind of walk the perimeter of the property, which is quite large. It's just a good place for us to be outside, get a little bit of vitamin D, stretch our legs, and feel good to be outside in a very safe environment. So we were there this morning, and we decided to take a little bit of a different path than we've been taking in the previous weeks. And not too far into it, we stumbled into a very large mud pit. I don't even think I'm going to call it a muddy puddle or anything like that. It was a full-fledged mud pit. So with that being said, my oldest, Danica, who you met last night, looked up at me. Now, mind you, she had come very properly prepared for that with her rain boots on. And she said, "Mama, can I?" And I said, "Yes." She took 3 steps in, her boots sunk into the mud, and the smile on her face grew exponentially. Of course, then not even 10 seconds later, Josie looked up at me and said, "Mama, can I?" And very typically, Josie was not prepared, did not want to wear her rain boots, and had a pair of sparkly, almost new tennis shoes on. And I looked at her and I said, "Of course." She took those same steps in, those beautiful new tennis shoes got covered in mud. The 2 of them proceeded for the next 15 minutes to pounce in the mud with the dogs. By the time they were done, all 4 of them, 2 children, 2 dogs, were covered from head to toe in mud. I will try and post photos later. They were very comical. At one point, the girls' shoes were actually sucked off into the mud, where they got stuck, and they just pulled their feet out, and then they went running away and left their shoes behind. The reason I'm bringing up this, other than the vision of it is quite comical, is at one point, my husband Matt, who you guys met during one of his haircuts, looked back at me kind of with a, "Are you sure about this? Are you okay with this?" I tend to be the one that is not always the fun person. He's the fun guy. I'm not. I accept that role. And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, is this the art of not giving a," I'm not going to say the word, but bleep, you guys can figure it out for yourself. And it was kind of funny because in a way, yes, but in a way, no. And that's what I really wanted to talk about tonight, is that I stood there in that instance, in an instance which probably 9 times out of 10, I would tell my kids not to do that, not to ruin the shoes, not to get in such a mess that we were going to have to strip them naked to get home. All of the things that were going to come from that instance. And I just said, do it. What I think is really important about that, and why I wanted to share that tonight as we start a new week, we are in different times right now. We are surviving. we are doing what we need to get by. And for me today, it was I didn't want to have that fight of telling them no. And more importantly, it was something that was going to bring a smile to their face. And you know what? The byproduct of it was not going to be something bad. It was not going to be something bad. And I just wanted to share that. And as I said, my husband said it was the art of not giving a fuck, excuse my language. It's not that though. I think we just need to all take a deep breath, realize that we're going to do things during this time that maybe aren't our normal. We might have an extra glass of wine. We may plug our kids into an iPad for an extra hour. We may do things that we might not do during another time. But it's okay. It's okay because we are coping and we are surviving. And so for me to put down my guard, tell my kids, you know what, ruin your shoes, ruin your clothes. Trust me, none of those clothes are salvageable after today. They went into the garbage. They didn't go anywhere else. But it was one of those things that we are okay in this. We can make mistakes. We cannot adhere to even the rules that we set for ourselves in this. And so as we start this next week, there will be good news. There will be bad news. Some days we will perform brilliantly, and other days we will not have the energy to be on our A game. And all of that is okay. So if you need to let your kids do something that you typically wouldn't, if you need to have an extra glass of wine, if you need to sleep in an extra hour in the morning, whatever it is that you need to do to just be a little bit better in this, it's okay. And that's all I wanted to share tonight as we start this next week. There's going to be a lot of news coming out this week. So far, we're seeing some positive stuff in terms of real estate, and I'm going to keep holding on to those positives. Obviously, a little bit of negative in terms of the actual pandemic, but we're doing good. So, be kind. Be kind to one another. Please remember to be kind to yourself. Take care of one another. Take care of yourself. Remember to be responsible in your social distancing. It is more important now than ever. Remember to be so proud and give shout outs to all of our essential workers and to our first responders. They are doing an amazing job. We are getting through this together. We are one day closer than we were yesterday. I am looking forward to getting through another day with you, and I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much and have a great start to your week.